It's the rise and the fall of Miss New Zealand.
In 1969, there was a new contest that was looking for a New Zealand entrant, and a young, fresh 20-year-old Paula Ryan was about to have her life changed forever.
I have to tell you something. Mum was actually a Rose of Tralee.
I saw Paula's cover on the Woman's Weekly, and she just looked so amazing in her Vinca Lucas gown, and she's like the blonde version of Audrey Hepburn.
I can only imagine how she looked in person as a 20-year-old.
I didn't enter the Rose of Tralee. A photographer friend of mine who was Ewan Sargentson, he was a landscape fashion photographer as well as a Formula One racing photographer for Caltex. And he said, I think you should enter this thing. You get a free trip to Ireland. I said, no, I'm not. And then Barbara Lee, fashion friend and also fashion designer, I'll make the frock. He said, I'll take the photographs. You're going in. So they entered me. And I thought, give it a go, because they'd done all the work, basically. And I won the New Zealand one, and then ended up going to Ireland. And it was fabulous, because you end up with all these relations that come from Tipperary, Irish Ryans, saying, we're related to you. And so it was just fun. Very different than a Miss New Zealand competition.
It's no surprise that Bridget followed in her mother's footsteps.
Well, Bridget thought she'd give it a go, and so we were all supporting her. Why not? Because it's a trip to Ireland, and you'll meet all the rallies, and all these people will come out of the woodwork. As a result, the whole family turned up. We all went to Ireland as well.
I thought it would be quite fun to go to Ireland.
During the Rose of Tralee week, it goes up to 50,000 people. They're sleeping on the streets, they're in tents, they're everywhere. It's just a buzz. It's a bit like the Rugby World Cup. It's like crazy in Ireland.
But I was on a float, like going down the main street. There was like 30, 40,000 people in the crowd. It's just kind of amazing. They do that for America's Cup.
You need to know a lot about your own country, because they're interested, and you're interviewed quite often on network television in Ireland.
Yeah, it was a great, fun life experience, which, we never get to do again, especially in your 40s.
But Bridget did a presentation of her photography, and it was fantastic. She was proud of the All Blacks, and of course the crowd roared as soon as she started talking All Blacks and Irish rugby. I mean, it was she just had them eating out of her hand, because she was there understanding their passion for rugby.
They get you in a room and they do like a group conversation with the judges, and the first question, I'll never forget this, they asked was, what do you think was the world's greatest invention? So I said, the waterbed. The waterbed.
Paula was second in the world competition, and 20 years later, Bridget was second.
Year after year, designers racked their brains to come up with a new national costume for New Zealand. Some were a hit, and some left the nation scratching their heads.
Now, Captain Cook. Now, that's not generally a feminine outfit, but I love this take of it. It's actually super cool.
Just tailored to fit me. It was absolutely stunning, and it looked amazing on TV.
Captain Chook.
Getting a real adamant vibe or New Romantics.
Look at those little shoes. Top marks there.
Regarding the national costume, here we are representing New Zealand in another country. You would think that somewhere in the kitty that there will be something for some feathers. I was wanting a big feather thing. I was wanting poise, maybe some golden poise.
When I saw Tracy in those cat's ears, I just about died.
Oh, it's a golden kiwi.
Kind of cool. Really out there.
I'm not really getting a golden kiwi vibe. I'm getting more of a crunchy bar vibe.
I don't know, Lo said, but it looks good on stage.
But mine was a very sleek, elegant gown.
Miss Downes really lucked out in this section. She looks pretty darn fabulous.
All down the front with the most beautiful handmade silk kofi flowers. And then it was just a dead straight skirt with a big slit up the side. And I felt really, really great in that dress.
Coming out on stage and doing my poi performance was awesome, because there was only about 20 of us or less, that got chosen to do that individual dance, and being able to wear something that represented my country, my heritage.
It just looked amazing. It was cream, it was that fine wool with a beautiful cape and screen printing of ferns all around it and all around the bottom of the dress.
You know, I wore the feathers, and I think the back of my national costume was beautiful. You know, she'd put the glass corals and sort of blue peacocks, and it had all the black feathers.
I photographed Holly in that outfit, and it was absolutely a work of art. She totally was one of the best national costumes that year at Miss Universe.
The white feather that I wore in my hair, what that represented was my Māori tribe, Te Atiawa.
And my national costume was the sailor's outfit from KZ7. KZ7 were, you know, they were winning. It was fabulous. America's Cup was a big deal.
How appropriate that she's dressed as a sailor. I love it.
Very easy to wear my sneakers, my shorts, my wee hat, jersey and a singlet, whereas some of the girls had these outrageous, massive outfits.
I think Miss Aruba was actually dressed as a chicken that year, so Linda got off quite lightly.
I know that in the past there had been some very interesting choices for New Zealand's national costumes.
New Zealand's national costume for the Miss World contest in London next month may invite a bit of a roasting. Our Miss New Zealand, Sherry the Fleming Burrow, will parade for the judges dressed as a sheep.
With so much interest in New Zealand lamb right now, and when they said something for the national costume with 70 million sheep, I thought, now that they're exporting live ones, I thought, well, here we've got a great glamorous live one to export.
Not sure what her message is there.
Is she wearing a sandwich, like a white bread sandwich? That's Kiwi.
Oh, and cut. That was a very economical year.
Come on, we can get more original. We can get boom, vivacious, but not mad. Oh, that's Sherry the Fleming Burrow. She can slap me any day. I'm waiting for it.
I loved her look. I always like a bad girl. She was always in the press, and she actually did really well at Miss World and placed in the top 10.
She just demanded presence. It was, look at me. I might be shorter, but I'm pretty fabulous.
Sherry, at 5'4", you are said to be perhaps a little on the short side for beauty contests. How do you think that will count against you or for you when you get to London?
Up to now, it hasn't, affected me too badly, I don't think. But I'm going to give it my best shot. I really am. 5'4" or not, I don't think height should count in beauty quiz.
I love the Kiwi accents. You know, that's one thing that you see and you just go, that's great. New Zealand. Go New Zealand.
Going overseas, I'm really happy to have my Kiwi accent. I think that a lot of people like the way that we speak.
It's a great honour to be chosen as Miss New Zealand for 1949, and I assure you that I'll do my very best to do honour to our country while I'm away.
I love it. I love it. It just makes me smile. Anywhere in the world, you can hear a Kiwi talking. It's fabulous.
Yeah, 1974 was a different era. It was different for women, basically. It was a man's world.
Sue Nicholson was a lovely Miss New Zealand. She reminded me quite a lot of Elaine.
I discovered Sue and at the Easter show.
And that's where I met Elaine. She was coordinating the show, and every night they'd have heats. And I was standing in the audience, and they started to push me up to the stage. Before I knew it, there I was, bewildered.
We were scouting around the show to find girls that would be suitable. And I came across Sue and I thought, oh my goodness, what a lovely girl.
Even 10 years later, we were asked to do the cover of the Women's Weekly, and, it was still popular then. My father was exceedingly proud. He had put my name in to the Miss Auckland, so to see it go through to the Miss New Zealand was just amazing. He'd always called me his little Miss New Zealand as a tiny girl. I remember being a favourite, and you don't really see yourself like that, but that's how it was reported in the newspapers. But you're just there to do your best and hope for the best if you can, really. I didn't really think I had a chance of winning. I really didn't. So it was just an enormous shock. Could I possibly have won this? And I think that's really how I felt. It was unbelievable. I won a car and a $5,000 wool wardrobe. So most of the times I had to wear wool, because of one of the sponsors being the Wool Board.
From the Olympic Games city to the Commonwealth Games country, Miss New Zealand Sue Nicholson, who broke her jaw just 9 weeks ago filming a television commercial. Looking great tonight.
I was riding a motorbike. It was an ad for cheese for the Dairy Board, one of our sponsors. And I went round the first take fine, the second take, the tyre hit a stone, and off I went over a cliff onto the rocks below. So that was the end of the advertisement, sadly, and I was rushed off to the doctor. The end result, broken jaw. I was wired together for 10 weeks. I couldn't work as Miss New Zealand, sadly, and the big worry was trying to put on weight, knowing that the contest was coming up. So I was trying to drink Complan and Sustagen, and Kevin and David were very, very encouraging to try and get me up to speed for when I went, because once those wires were off, I was ready to depart. I'd never been out of the country before, you know, it's all very daunting. And Elaine was there to see me off, and that was the last I remember of my goodbyes. Goodbye, New Zealand. Goodbye, Elaine. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me, and I'm going to really do my best. In 1974, the Miss World contest had over 20 million viewers in the UK alone. As the big night approached, Sue was considered a major favourite by the UK press. Yes, so what happened was they bet on you and gave each girl odds to win the crown, and I found it quite strange. I didn't really know what to make of it, to be honest. Well, there were 70 of us, and at one point, press got together, picked their favourites, so 10 of us went outside and had a photo shoot. And I guess I kind of had a little inkling, a tiny inkling, but I wasn't really sure, you know.
Here's Sue Nicholson. She's 22 years old. A green-eyed blonde. She stands at 5 feet 6.5. That's without the boots. 34, 24, 34.
Sue placed 7th overall at Miss World, which was an amazing achievement because back then, Miss New Zealand's didn't really get anywhere.
When it became time to be my end of year, it was quite a relief in some ways to pass it on to the next girl. Even though I'd enjoyed it immensely, it was time. That was enough for me. Absolutely. It was enough.